scores from the rebound. Here's Pritchard. He loves these. Puts it up half court of the buzzer. Bang! Pritchard at the buzzer with a three-pointer. He's done it again.
That was the call on ESPN. Mike Breen giving Peyton Pritchard the bang on his buzzer beater to put the Boston Celtics up 21 points at halftime. And a game that was not very close at all. There were people going, ooh, did Dallas find something? No, it just turns out Boston is very gentlemanly, and they handled their business. Game 5, gentleman's sweep. NBA Finals.
Even more on the Pritchard call.
Yeah.
The subtle, he loves these.
Yeah.
That was a great little preempt to a lot of times what makes a call great is not what happens after the call. It's the leading into it.
Yes.
Do you believe in miracles? You know what I mean? Like like everybody always wants the bang and the double bang when was it Clay that went nuts? Like those are great calls, but it's what leads into it, I think, that really makes the iconic call. And honestly, I think that was a hell of a call there. Just simple, subtle, but he loves these, then the bang really kind of brings it together.
And then it could have just ended with, I mean, he misses that. It's like, not this time,
Yeah.
and then boom, you're going to half and it's over.
But
Either way, he set it up to either have an epic call or hey, maybe next time.
He loves these, not this time though.
Not this
you
time.
You can come right out of it super quick. But I think that's what kind of makes those work a little bit more. But Pritchard wasn't the only thing that was nailing everything last night, because the Celtics were absolutely prolific in what they were looking to do. They didn't sit out there and light up the scoreboard in the first half by any means, particularly in the first quarter. It was pretty ugly basketball, but defensively they executed. And Kyrie and Luka, Kyrie's had one good game in this series.
Game 4.
The rest of them, he was complete cheeks. And
he was brutal in Boston.
Yes.
In Boston.
Horrible.
Absolutely atrocious. And continued that last night. I mean, I think he in the city of Boston, he shot under 35% for this series.
Luka's bad game was 28-12 and 5-3. Yeah. 7 turnovers. The turnovers, I think, had Dallas not turned the ball over to start the game so much, they had 8 turnovers, I think, in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Had they not done that, I think that would have changed stylistically how the game was going to go. But the flip side of that was almost none of those were unforced errors. It was the Celtics absolutely attacking.
Yeah.
Poking the ball free. Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, everybody was getting after it. Luka is pretty clearly hurt. What he did in the finals, I think he shot 29% from 3 and 59% from the free throw line in the finals.
Jeez.
He's pretty clearly beat up, and even with that, he was still very prolific and very effective in this series. But Kyrie was terrible, and the Celtics absolutely made him pay. Tatum had his best game of the series. Was it 9 assists in the first half? I mean, he was incredible as a playmaker. Jaylen Brown had his worst shooting night really of the series and of the playoffs essentially, but he is able to. I mean, he won Finals MVP in the first 3 games.
And I believe this, like, when you look at the reason why Boston is not getting as much love or is not going to be revered is because it's always been about the team. It's the team over the stars, right? And we've seen that into the criticism of Jason Tatum when he turns into a guy who defers in the fourth quarters and will let Jaylen Brown or Derek White or Drew Holiday, whomever, or Kristaps Porzingis, whomever it is, that is hot that night, they take over and he is not efficient in the fourth quarter. Everything is about the team. And you talked about those turnovers, 8 turnovers in the first half. That's more than the Boston Celtics had the entire game.
Is that good?
That's the recipe for a rout right there. And it wasn't just that, you create the turnovers. It's that you create points off of those turnovers.
And that's what they did. They turned them over, and that was because Boston wasn't hitting shots early.
No, it was 11 points off of 8 first half turnovers.
Yeah. But those, because the scoring was down, particularly in the first quarter, you didn't. I mean, what was the first quarter end at? 28-18? Yeah. It was the second quarter where Boston went
39 point.
bonkers.
They almost had a 40-point
in the
second
finals.
quarter.
That doesn't happen often in the finals.
No.
But that first quarter, offense was hard to come by for both teams. And I think you look at that situation and you go, yeah, those turnovers, even though they didn't capitalize on all of them, they got a few opportunities in transition against non-set defenses, and then they were able to kind of manufacture something additional out of that. The other side of this was Kristaps Porzingis was a quote-unquote net positive, according to plus minus. But my God, when he was on the court in the first half, I was like, why is he on the floor?
He was not healthy, but his minutes were so valuable just to get Al Horford off the floor and not because he is such a space eater. You saw he was a step slow to everything, but Dallas was forcing everything quicker because Kristaps Porzingis is 7'3" and ridiculously long arms. He was still almost a deterrent on a lot of shots. And I think if like Dallas goes back and they look at that, his minutes on the floor, I mean, whether you pump fake him and you just go right by him,
they settled on shots against.
It was brutal.
They attacked him early, and it was like, oh God, he needs to leave the game right now.
Yeah.
And then they started settling, and I'm like, what are you doing? It was working. Attack him.
But I think that it goes to that second quarter, Tatum going for 12 in that second quarter alone. When the Avalanche started coming towards the Dallas Mavericks, they also couldn't settle for twos. They needed threes as well. And so
neither team hit well from
effect.
three. That was the crazy thing.
No.
Like Boston, hit a couple in that quarter, but other than that, they shoot 33% on the night. It wasn't like this night where it was just like the Boston, avalanche of threes that's going to bury you.
Well, we've got a lot that we need to get to. As it is right now, the Boston Celtics are NBA champions. Al Horford gets his ring after 17 long years in the NBA. And I don't think we give Al Horford enough credit for how good he has been throughout his entire career. I want to carve out some time for Al Horford, Jaylen Brown, and then the building and sustainability of this Boston Celtics team with Joe Mazzulla, who Al Horford is older than.
Yeah.
At the helm, Brad Stevens, and what he's been able to do to fill gaps in the roster that Danny Ainge handed over to him a couple of seasons ago, and where the Boston Celtics go from here. And also where the Dallas Mavericks go from here as well. Because, everybody's like, is this the start of a run for Boston? Well, you could say the same thing for Dallas, but with the new CBA kick in, what does it look like for both of these teams moving forward?